Like you have a chance, you have the opportunity to contend with the structure of reality and to set things right. You can do that if you take it on voluntarily. And that's a terrible burden to confront suffering and malevolence, especially given the degree of malevolence. It's a terrible thing to confront. The alternative is worse. Let things slide. You just see where you end up there. At least you have a fighting chance if you're a contender, right? You're in the ring and you can do it. That's the thing. That's what makes me so fundamentally optimistic about people, is that the problems that confront us are almost infinite in their catastrophic consequence. But there's something within us that's even greater than that. And so that's the fundamental reality. You don't get to that either unless you start with what's so terrible. Say, life is rife with suffering and injustice, and we make it worse with our malevolence. It's terrible. Okay, well, that's horrible. Who can withstand that? It's like, yeah, well, if you look inside that, you see that something beckons, and what beckons is the possibility of what you could become if you confront that. And that's what we need to know. And that's, I think, integrally tied up with our most fundamental religious convictions. We know that people have an indomitable divine spirit. Well, how do you call that forth? Well, by challenging it. It's not going to come out without that. You're not going to be who you could be without pushing yourself to your limit. Because why would you be? As you become better at something, it's necessary to stand back increasingly and let what you already know, dominate you and take you over, and then you add a creative bend and twist here and there to stop it from being merely rote. You know, like someone who's great at playing a cello, you know, they have every technique down perfectly, but they bend and twist each note consciously to add something new to it. When you hit that zone, it does mean that, well, everything that you've worked at to that point is starting to run automatically. And there is an experience of harmony, I would say, with deeper parts of being when that occurs. And it's not surprising, because if you've put that circuitry together honestly and diligently and courageously, then it should be functioning properly and towards the good. And so when you're in the throes of that, if you're fortunate, then there should be almost nothing about that isn't good. That's partly why character is so important. You know, what people don't understand or they're not taught is that you genuinely become what you practice, and not at some trivial level. I mean, it's built into you biologically.
Welcome and happy new year. With the new year comes a fresh start, a new beginning, and a desire to make changes. I'm Dr. Jake from Victory Health Center, and I hope for the rest of this workshop that you're inspired to living a healthier life. You know, surveys have been conducted over the last few years, really over the last 10 years, and consistently over and over again, people make New Year's resolutions based on 4 things. It's reducing stress, losing weight, exercising, and eating right. And so if these sound familiar to you, you're not alone. A couple things before we get started though. I want you to go to victoryworkshops.com. Those are our future workshops. We're doing a nutrition class. We've also got a community dinner coming up. And so you want to make sure that you sign up for those. And those are completely free. The next thing is an immunity masterclass that is a 6-part series covering viruses and bacteria and microbiome and probiotics and what do you need to take to be healthy? What are the steps that you need to take for a strong immune system? So make sure you stay tuned for that. For those who have never met me yet, my name is Dr. Jake Parrish. I'm a chiropractor. I own Victory Health Center here in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm the radio show host on victoryhealthradio.com. I'm a graduate from Sherman College, and I'm a husband of beautiful wife, Rachel. She has a blog. It's called day2dayjoys.com, and I'm a father of 4. So when we first started Victory Health Center, the goal was to change lives and to rebuild health from the inside out. And part of the reason that we did that is my own story. I was a sick human being. And so I was diagnosed with an incurable autoimmune condition called Meniere's disease. It was vertigo, ear ringing, and deafness in my right ear, and it was a burden. I spent $45,000 in 6 months in testing over and over again, credit cards, and you name it. And I was a student, and I had no idea what to do. And through these principles that I'm going to teach you today, I'm gonna help you break free from your current health condition. Whether you want to lose weight or you sick and tired of being tired, this is the workshop for you. Remember that this will be available for you for as long as it's up, and so we want to make sure that you go back over this and make sure that you're plugging into the things that we're sharing with you. We've got a lot of information for you today. You know, I think more this year than any year before, we need the mindset of a champion. And it's common practice when we're trying to do health goals or we're trying to attempt to do something different in our life, that our healthcare providers, our friends and our family will attempt to motivate us into change by reminding us how healthy something is. So if you work out today, you're going to decrease your risk of heart disease. You know what? If you eat right today, you're probably going to decrease your risk of cancer. But it's really hard to get motivated for something that is so far away that may or may not happen. You may not develop heart disease. You may not die from cancer. And so it's really hard to get motivated to get out of the bed at 6 a.m. for something that may not happen. So you've got to have a bigger why, and that's what we got to talk about today. Even though you've pushed past all your excuses, I'm too busy, I'm too lazy, I'm too tired, and you actually showed up for exercise, or you showed up for quality food that day, or you showed up to prep a meal, you went and bought the right food, it's really hard, and the challenge of all of it is sustaining it. It's so common, and the social and behavioral scientists have been working on this specific thing for years. The hardest part of eating healthy is getting started. And then once you get started, you've got to sustain that. And so instead of exercising because it's good for your health, focus on why you're doing it. Everyone is motivated differently. And initially you might want to look better, but really, why are you trying to get healthy? There are some of you today that are here and you really want to change. The problem is that we don't always get what we want. A lot of times that unfortunately, we get what we're committed to. Whatever stage of your life that you're in, the fundamental principles that we'll talk about make a measurable impact on your life. Today, I want you to look at this as the most important subject in your entire life. And so because it's very important, right? We value three things, I think, in our life in general, and I try to teach my patients this, is it's time, money, and your health. And if you take care of your health, then you'll be able to not spend money in hospitals. You'll not spend a lot of time in hospitals. But if you don't take care of your health, you'll waste your money and you'll waste your time trying to get healthy. So the best time to do it is today. If you really truly spend the next 30 days focused on your health as much as you can, I promise you, you'll have a measurable impact on your health. What's going to be a must today, it used to be a should. And so I should change my diet. I should stop eating sugar. I should start exercising. I should stop drinking. I should stop going through the drive-thru. And soon enough, we should have all over ourselves. And so what we have to do today is we have to turn those should-haves into must-haves. I will do this. And so it's not the fact that we don't know that we need to change. It's the 80% psychology. We have to leverage our change. Today is about making decisions. And so if you make different decisions, you'll probably take different actions. And if you take different actions and you have different actions, your results will be different. So what's your why? Like, why is it that you must change now? It's either pleasure or it's pain. That's what most people are motivated for. For the people that are motivated by pleasure, it's being able to be there for your grandkids. It's being able to pass down wisdom and knowledge and your life experience. It's being there for your spouse to an old age in good health. Other people are driven by pain and the discomfort and if life continues to trend in this direction, you can't stand the thought of ending up in a nursing home. You can't stand the thought of gaining another 20 pounds. You can't stand the thought of ending up on more medications, losing your mind, losing your ability to communicate with people, with Alzheimer's, dementia, and those kind of things. And so you do have to know whether or not you are motivated by pleasure or you're motivated by pain. Your why, the bigger purpose in your life, the why in your life is your biggest driver. It's your purpose. It's what keeps you going when you want to stop and quit and go back. It's what reminds you of your purpose. It's what keeps you out of the bed when you would rather sleep, when you would rather have that donut than a Granny Smith apple. It's your big why. Wanting to be healthy, losing a few pounds is not enough big why. It's something that has to drive you. So one question that I always ask my patients is like, what kind of health plan have you received from your doctor or have you received from the medical system? And the question is always answered no. I haven't received anything from that. And that's because, listen to this, and I don't know that you know this, but this is from Medicare, and Medicare is what Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, all these, Humana, all the insurance companies, they go by these guidelines. So if you're wondering why I have never received a care plan or received a health plan from my doctor, here's why. A treatment plan that seeks to prevent disease, promote health, and prolong and enhance the quality of life, or therapy that is performed to maintain or prevent deterioration of a chronic condition is not considered medically reasonable or necessary under the Medicare program, and it's not payable. The prevention doesn't pay. And unfortunately, that's how you stay healthy. A lot of people think that a mammogram or a prostate exam is prevention. No, that's detection. And we've got to be more preventative. We've got to be more vitalistic than mechanistic in our healthcare. So you said you didn't have a plan, but we have a plan for you. And this is good news. We have a 45-day challenge. We've got a vision board for you to start. And then we've got a relational chart for you to start. And so it starts with you asking, what is the vision for your life? Proverbs 29:18 says that when there's no prophetic vision, the people cast off restraint. But blessed is he who keeps the law. In order for you to reach your dreams, to accomplish your goals, to fulfill your purpose, you have to first have a vision. Vision creates direction. The problem that most people have is that they get stuck in the remedial task of the daily grind of you come home, you have the weekend, repeat, football game, soccer practice, anniversary, repeat, and we look back 5 years later and we're 40, 50, or 60 and we're going, what happened to me? What happened? It seems like it was just yesterday I was doing this or doing that, and our time starts to fly. It's as if time disappears, in fact. You may not be able to change how the last 10 years of your life looked, but you can change the next 10 years. 10 years from now, I want you to think about this, and this is something that you're going to write down right now. I want you to take the time for this, is that 10 years from now, looking back, what would you have liked to see changed in your life? So we're thinking about 2030. We're going to take the time. You're going to pause the video right now, and you're going to take the time to really think about what would you like to have accomplished in the next 10 years, or looking back, what did you accomplish in the last 10 years? Write those down right now.
I was always like the tall girl and the strong girl. Like I was different from other girls. And I was always really jealous. I wish I could be like them. Girls weren't supposed to be red at their face and weren't supposed to like work hard at gym. It was just the guys' time. That's how I felt. Like girls should always be pretty and skinny and shouldn't be that strong. So I think I was just embarrassed of who I was and trying to be something else. And that just took my self-esteem away. I started training in a global gym in 2013, so there was no pull-up bar or muscle-up like rings or anything like that. So I had to, my dad helped me build this too.
So for you to accomplish a 5-year goal, it's 100% dependent on two things. Number one, you've got to be healthy enough to accomplish the goal. Number two, you've got to be alive. And the good news is that you're alive. You may not be healthy today, but you will be healthy at the end of the year. In the next 10 years, when you take these principles that you learn about nutrition and detox today, is that you'll be able to capitalize on your health gains by having career gains, by having relational gains, by having personal gains, and ultimately you'll hit your goals and you'll do exactly what your vision calls for you to do. If that's the case, that 100% of your future is dependent on your health, don't you think it's wise to create some kind of health-related goals for yourself this year, next year, 5 years from now, and even 10 years from now? And on the right match, how well you feel about each is the amount that you will shade, and then you'll have a life wheel to start measuring success in those areas. So you've got your vision, I'll show this on the screen, but you've got your vision board on your left and you've got your life wheel on your right. And on the life wheel, if you're a 10 out of 10, like you feel like that part of your life is really good, what you do is you fill in that whole pie. But if you don't feel like some of those parts, you do measure those. 1 to 10, 10's the best, 0's bad. And then as you can complete the wheel, what you'll see is that that's how your life is. That's how even that your life is. And it's very important to do that. And so go ahead and do that either right now or at the very end of this. And I'll give you some time.
Practice that. But we didn't have a pull-up bar, so my dad just hung them up the other day, but we had rings over there. Everything that I'm doing now is what I've never done before. And that's what's hard. It's like trusting that my body still remembers everything else. Like, I don't do any CrossFit at all right now. Nobody ever expected me to make it to the games, I think. I mean, my first year at regionals, I got disqualified the first day. So, people never expected anything from me. And I always wanted to prove what I could do. And I finally did that 2015. Found out a lot of weaknesses.
If weight loss is your New Year's resolution, then you're certainly not alone. Like I said, there's a reason why weight loss is the top New Year's resolution, and that's because 2/3 of Americans are either overweight or obese. I'm going to go through some stats here in a second, but the truth is, America is fat, and these stats don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Research shows that being overweight or obese greatly increases your risk of other life-threatening diseases like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, and gallbladder problems. And one research says this, is that one study found that women who go up a skirt size every decade between their 20s and their 60s are at an increased risk of postmenopausal cancer by 33%. And if you are gaining two pant sizes, 2 sizes, a decade over the next 30, 40 years, you increase your risk of postmenopausal breast cancer by 77%. Obesity is not about the way that you look. Obesity and being overweight is about how your body functions and what the future of your life is. While following a health challenge, it's very important to have ways to measure success. And the way that we do it at Victory is through BMI. That's called Body Mass Index. You can get a calculator online just about anywhere, but I'm going to go through those numbers so that you can measure yourself and know exactly where you stand, because BMI takes into account the differences between your height and your weight, and it really it's a good solid measurement. There's some negatives to it. If you're an athlete, it may overestimate. If you're an older person that's lost muscle mass, it may underestimate just a little bit. But typically, BMI is pretty good. So where you want your BMI to be is that if for a normal or healthy weight, it's between 18.5 and 24.9. Anywhere between 25 and 29.9, almost at 30 BMI, you're overweight. Once you hit 30, you are absolutely obese. And so you've got to get your BMI below 25. Through the years, unfortunately, obesity has continued to rise. One study from 1999 to 2000 showed that the prevalence of obesity in the United States was nearly 30%. It was actually 32.3%. Through the years, though, obesity has continued to rise, and in fact, last year, it's estimated that 42.4% of Americans are obese. Our dietary lifestyle is not helping us to decrease this trend, and so it ultimately sets us up for failure with our health in the future. So this year is the year. This is the year that you actually get a dedicated health plan, a challenge at the first of the year. You know exactly what to eat, what exercise to do, and there's really no excuses. And research continues to show that the world wants to get healthier, but we just don't know how. This is the very reason why New Year's resolutions usually fail by February. The average New Year's resolution is 15 days. So the answer to your resolution is not even a revolution. It's a simple solution. You need a solution to your health problem. The very first thing that we have to talk about today is your mindset and habit change. And habit change is difficult, and it comes with a variety of reasons why it may not be successful. According to research, some of the most common barriers to habit change are lack of consequences, lack of support, unrealistic goals. You're not going to lose 40 pounds in a week, friend, but you can lose 40 pounds in 2 months if you work really hard. No starting point, just kind of starting with no goals in mind. But because if you're going to start something, you want to be able to end something, and you want to be able to measure that. So if there's no starting point, there may not be any end point. And how do you measure your success? And then the last one is feeling isolated. You know, your barriers may be similar to these, and especially the one with feeling isolated, because when we're trying to make a healthy lifestyle change, everybody in our family is not on board. All of our friends may not necessarily be on board. So you may be the one that's ordering like no bread on your chicken, and everybody's kind of looking at you like, what's going on? But this is a good opportunity to teach the people around you how healthy that you're trying to be, and actually start some accountability in your own life, but helping your friends keep their own selves accountable. What is your barrier? I want you to take this, pause this video right now, and write this down. What is your barrier? What are 3 to 5 barriers that hold you back?
2014, I worked on them. I'm so hungry for it. So hungry. I love challenges, and this is just one of those challenges that I have to climb over to make it to the top. That's how it is. I'm so hungry for it. So hungry.
Come on. Finish it, Sarah. Finish it.
Ég alltaf hrædd að mistakast, en ekki nóg hrædd til að gefast upp.
Now that you know your barriers, what are your motivations? Everyone has a different factor that motivates them. One person may be motivated to lose weight for a certain event like a wedding. Another may be motivated by the reduction in health complications like heart disease. It's important to recognize what motivates you. For many of us, motivation stems from wanting to stay healthy for our family, our friends, our loved ones. It may come from the desire not to only be around for our grandchildren, but to thrive with our grandchildren. Each person's motivation is different, but it's important to identify where your motivations lie. It's also important to not rely solely on motivation, because motivation can be waning. And so there has to be a little bit of inspiration, and that a lot of times that happens by getting some initial results in the first couple weeks of doing this challenge. The fact is that weight loss is all about hormones, especially insulin, leptin, and the other hormones that they control. You can choose to continue believing that you have a sick genetic weakness, or that you're broken, or that you're defective, or that God didn't make you the way that you were supposed to be. Or you can choose to believe that you're made perfectly, that you have a purpose and a plan, and that God gave you everything that you needed, and that you came equipped with everything that you needed to be healthy. But we get in our way and we stumble on our own. Just like Paul says, I keep on doing what I do not want to do. I know that this is not the right thing to do, but I keep on doing it. And so we have to fight that. We have to beat that back. I want you to know that you have the ability to be healthy. You just probably need to know what to do and how to get healthy. So the first step for every person, I feel like, when we're wanting to lose weight or we're wanting to get healthy, and so this is not just about weight loss, it's about autoimmune conditions and heart disease, but you've got to cut the sugar out of the diet, and you've got to cut everything that turns into sugar. When you get a big rush of glucose, you get a big rush of insulin. So your glucose goes up and your insulin goes up. And here's what insulin does. Insulin is a fat storage hormone. Insulin, when you have too much sugar, you can become insulin resistant, and now your sugar that you're consuming is not going into your cells and providing you with energy. Insulin's job is to drive sugar into the cells where it can be used. It also makes us hungry. So what do you think, though, that insulin wants when it makes you hungry? It wants sugar. We know that leptin, when sugar goes up, then insulin goes up, and then leptin goes up right along with it. And leptin is your fat burning hormone. Leptin also signals hunger. And insulin and reproductive hormones and thyroid hormones and the brain and the liver, they all listen to leptin. This is a big deal. High leptin causes you to age faster. High leptin causes you to be inflammatory and have inflammation in your body. High leptin, we know for sure, inhibits bone growth, and so you end up with osteopenia, osteoporosis. High leptin also leads to different body temperatures, and so the ins and outs of hormones, it's all based and related on your sugar intake. And so if you'll get your sugar to come down, your insulin will stop begging for sugar, your leptin will come down, and you won't be hungry all the time. When you cut out the sugar, the hunger goes away. For anybody that's looking to lose weight, to be healthy and have goals, stress reduction is your very next step, and it plays a big factor in weight loss as well. Stress causes the hormone cortisol to be released, and it increases increased levels of cortisol in the body. Does a couple things. Number one, is linked to weight gain. Number two, it ultimately hinders your success because it causes your body to be stressed, like you're getting chased by a tiger. And when you're getting chased by a tiger, your body thinks, I need to keep this fat on me. The rise in cortisol is also may also increase certain cravings, especially sugary foods. Comfort foods get their name from that simple reason. Think about the last time that you were stressed. We probably didn't reach for broccoli. We probably reached for like a donut. Cravings for sugary, fattening foods are heightened during periods of increased stress, leading to weight gain. The tip number one, too, is that if you are going through a lot of stress, you're probably using your B vitamins. And so you may need a B complex supplement for your body if you're going through stressful events. We know that anyone who's tried to manage their stress knows it's not as easy as it seems. Practicing effective stress management techniques takes time, takes dedication, and it takes practice. And so it's important to know what stress management techniques work for you as an individual and use those techniques to manage your stress. And so some common stress techniques include these. Identifying the stressor, simply identifying and calling it by name, that this is the problem that I have. This is the stress that I'm going through. Identifying the stressor is powerful. And so sometimes you're so stressed and you have so many things going on in your mind, you don't even know where the stress is coming from. So identifying the stress. Number two, taking the time to exercise. Exercise is great for getting the stress out. I know a lot of people, you work really hard, you work 40 hours a week and you don't really feel like going to the gym. You don't have to go to the gym. Just going for a walk, even watching a sunset, a sunrise on a regular basis actually decreases stress levels, decreases your cortisol levels, and increases lithium inside of your brain, which is given a lot of times for people with bipolar, so it makes you feel good. Don't try to do it all alone. I think there's a lot of people out there that you do try to do stress management alone. Do it alone. If you need counseling, get counseling. If you need to read a self-help book or something like that, do that. And then finally, your family and friends know what you're going through. And if they don't, then they should. And so it's okay to be transparent with the people that are around you. But listen, if you don't decrease your stress, it's going to be really hard for you to focus on getting healthy this year. So what we've done for you this year is we've developed a New You challenge. And it's a 45-day challenge to help you to get 20 pounds lighter, to start decreasing the inflammation and getting you on your road to being healthy. You know, I've seen it 100 times at Victory, hundreds of times at Victory, where people don't really know how to get healthy, but when you give them the steps, they take off with it. And our results at Victory are amazing. And the same steps that we are going to give you today are the same steps that we give our patients. Somebody asked me the other day, why 45 days? And the research says that it takes approximately 18 to 254 days to build a habit. Of course, this varies based on the individual, but somewhere between 21, 42, and 63 days is approximately the right amount of time that most people need to develop a lifelong healthy habit. Life change doesn't end after 45 days though. Habits can be established and built in this time. And so take the 45 days to practice the strategies needed for effective habit change. Pick one or two things that you're going to be doing that you're going to hold on to for the rest of the year. You know, becoming a lean, mean, fat-burning, muscle-building, disease-killing machine, it's not just about looking better. It's about getting healthier. But you know what? One of the side effects is actually looking better. And we can tell if you're looking better, if your skin's looking better, if your eyes look clearer, that internally that you're probably getting healthier too. Weight loss and what you've done and what you've probably done over the years, I just want you to know that it's not just about calories in and out. During this process, you're going to learn many things. And here's what we're going to go through. Meals. What meals should you be eating? We're going to give you recipes and all the backup in a nutrition class a couple weeks from now to make sure that this is firmed up for you. We're going to give you information about supplements, and if you have nutritional deficiencies, like if you're going through stress, you need B vitamins, but we're going to talk about grass-fed whey, omega-3 fatty acids today, exercise, disciplined mindsets, toxin reduction, and the most important thing that I truly think that most people miss is chiropractic care. During the 45-day challenge, you'll be utilizing both of our nutrition plans. I am going to cover keto today, but I want to talk about the advanced plan and the core plan. On Monday through Friday, you're going to be doing the advanced plan with intermittent fasting, and then on Saturday and Sunday, you're going to follow that up with the core plan and really just reacquainting yourself. And the core plan, that's what that's about. It's about reacquainting yourself with nutrition. The core plan focuses on, like I said, reacquainting yourself with understanding what your body needs. It doesn't count calories or have rigid dietary guidelines. It's designed to help this to become a lifestyle for you and to build a better relationship actually with food. And yeah, you do have a relationship with food. It incorporates a wide variety of vegetables, many low sugar fruits, legumes, ancient and whole grains, and healthy fats and proteins. The core, and you've got this information in your 45-day challenge, but the core plan involves choosing organic when possible, consuming higher sugar plant-based foods earlier in the day, eating more healthy fats while eliminating all the damaged fats. I'm going to cover those today. And then choosing naturally raised animal proteins. The core plan is, when you're selecting whole over refined carbohydrates, you're decreasing the amount of sugar that's going inside of your body. You always want to consume grains that are whole, sprouted, or stone ground versions. Opting for fruits and vegetables over refined grains and sugars. Most importantly, it involves eating and enjoying food until you are full. We want you to eat until you're full. High fiber, low sugar, plant-based carbohydrates such as legumes and even broccoli and beans are high in fiber and have been studied to show protection against colorectal cancer. There are all kinds of foods out there that protect you against certain diseases. Eating low sugar berries early in the day, such as raspberries or blueberries, have showed to decrease cancer progression. One study showed that dietary administration of raspberries inhibited the events associated with both the initiation and promotion of all of the cancer stages. And then when we talk about fats, we're not just talking about nuts and seeds, but almonds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, walnuts, avocados, and fish oils. Those are all good sources of healthy fat. The advanced plan is for people who need a short-term dedicated diet to losing weight, minimizing interference, creating a detoxification system in their body, and getting rid of the disease that they are suffering from. Gaining additional support for cognitive, metabolic, and immune health, that's awesome. And ultimately, this works as a long-term solution for your health problem. You do the advanced plan for a short time, and then you do the core plan, and then you cycle back into the advanced plan and you go back and forth, and that way you actually don't get bored with your diet. Eating more healthy fats like the core plan while eliminating damaged fats, choosing naturally raised proteins, specifically like free range, cage free, grass fed. The main difference between the core plan and the advanced plan is this one, and it's hard. Eliminate all the grains, including gluten-free from your diet. Eliminating all the sugar from your diet, including all the low-sugar fruits and berries to be eaten during the day. So you can have, on the advanced plan, you can have raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, avocado, grapefruit, Granny Smith apples, and that's really about it. Because you don't need a bunch of sugar. And ultimately, we're trying to get off of sugar, get the sugar out of our system so our body starts to burn fat. Did you know that modern day illnesses like chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, autoimmune conditions, intolerance to grains, asthma, arthritis, digestive dysfunction, even certain kinds of cancers are absolutely related to diet? In fact, that eating the same kind of foods that are on the advanced plan have been shown to decrease symptoms from ADHD, to decrease symptoms from autism spectrum disorders, to decrease symptoms from metabolic syndromes, including obesity, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, high and low blood sugar, high and low blood pressure, heart disease, high leptin even. You can all attack this with the advanced plan. So let's get going with that. You may not know this, but there's no such thing as a canola plant. In fact, it's called Canadian oil low acid. It was an industrial oil before it was put into our food system. It's genetically modified rapeseed oil, which is a rancid fat. It's like a dirty, nasty bad fat that you shouldn't be putting in your body. So we have what's called good fats and we have bad fats. And we've got to remove, in order for our body to release the bad fat, in order for our bodies to start what's called cellular respiration, that's detoxification, you've got to have good fats. And so here's a list of the bad fats that you need to avoid. Number one is hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. Cottonseed oil, canola oil. Margarines are, if it's not butter, it's not butter. But we do want you to actually do butter. Almost every single cracker box foods on the planet have some kind of partially hydrogenated oil in there, and that is really rancid and really toxic for your body. The good things that we want you to consume are avocado oil, coconut and coconut oil, grapeseed oil, fish oils, sardines are great, nuts and seeds. Regular, just plain old butter, organic butter is absolutely great for you, and it actually helps to burn fat. It increases cognition via the different fats that are in butter. So you do want to have these specific meats though, and I'm going to talk about toxic bioaccumulation, but basically you're what the animal eats, especially if you're eating a predator. And so, or even if you're eating a non-predator, who knows what this animal has been fed through the factory farming. And so you want to have, if you're going to do beef, you want grass-fed beef, you want pasture-raised or cage-free chicken, you want wild-caught salmon, and then you want to naturally source your dairy. So you want, if you can get like a farmer or you can do like a cow purchase, but if you're going to do dairy, 100% it has to be organic dairy. There are not only just foods that we have to incorporate into our diet, there's actually foods that we have to avoid. You want to avoid foods containing processed carbohydrates and sugars. You want to avoid sugar substitutes, because in your body, they actually raise your insulin levels just as if you were eating regular sugar. And the research shows that if you're doing like Diet Cokes or diet drinks and those kind of things, you're actually still putting on pounds. So no sugar substitutes, blue packet, purple packet, the yellow packet, we got to get off that stuff. Foods containing trans fats, those are your partially hydrogenated oils. You got to read the labels when you're looking for this. Food containing fats that turn rancid, so once again, partially hydrogenated fats. Anything that's been heated. So typically, if you have a processed food, a packaged food, they've probably heated that vegetable oil up or whatever oil that's in there to a temperature where it was burned, and then they packaged it. And so you've got to watch out for rancid oils. And then the last thing, any type of highly processed foods, we don't eat numbers, colors, or words that we can't say. If you can't read it, don't eat it. So when we're talking about grass-fed, what does grass-fed mean? Most people think they're getting the benefits of grass-fed, only to find out that they're considered grass-fed. What the meat that they're eating to be considered grass-fed is actually only 30% of the feed has to be grass. Did you know that? When it's labeled grass-fed, it must be at least 30% grass-fed. Grass-fed and finished means that it must be 100% grass-fed, and conventional cattle are basically zero grass-fed. Remember that cows, the way that God developed them, they eat grass. They don't eat corn and grains. And so cattle that eat grains get inflamed, and they need medicines. And those medicines go into your body via the consumption of that meat. And so it's called toxic bioaccumulation. It's not a typo. You're what you ate. And so grass and greens are much higher in omega-3s. Grain-fed cattle is highly skewed in omega-6s, and that's one of the problems with the American diet, is that it's really high in omega-6, but it's really low in omega-3. And our bodies need omega-3 in order for the cellular respiration that I was talking about, in order to detoxify. And then omega-3s are given to even people with psychological issues, with ADHD. It's given to people with Alzheimer's and dementia. And so you need good healthy fats. That's why you have to check to make sure that if it's grass-fed, it's grass-fed finished. 100% grass-fed finished. At Victory, we have a whole food supplement, and it's actually grass-fed whey. The specific things that it's been tested for is it helps to boost metabolism. It actually improves athletic performance. It promotes general detoxification, so it's not real rough on your body, and it decreases inflammation. If you don't know this about grass-fed whey, but it has a lot of potassium. And potassium helps to draw sodium out of your cells. And so sodium is one of the reasons that you're swollen today. So if you want to get the swelling off, if you want to get the edema edema off you, grass-fed whey is one of the supplements that you could use. We also have a couple other, and we're introducing a couple of supplements at Victory. And so what you're going to do, this is only for the people that come to this workshop. We've got an order form at the clinic, and if you want any of this stuff next week or over the next couple weeks, just come to the clinic and fill out the order form, and we'll order all of this for you. If you want this stuff, then we want you to have it. It's so important to supplement the right foods and the right nutrients when you're losing weight and you're starting a health plan. So we have two things as far as the keto diet goes. The first one is keto bars. It's a good source of protein, and it's 15 grams of healthy fats. The next one is keto chews, and it's 500 milligrams of medium chain triglycerides. And this is what a lot of people do in the keto diet. They do medium chain triglycerides, good fats to help their body start to burn fat. As we're going through this process, instead of just celebrating the long-term goals like the losing the 30 pounds in 30 days or losing 20 pounds in 30 days, I want you to celebrate the short-term goals. You know, like literally celebrate when you notch your belt like one more notch, or you go down a pant size, or you just feel different in your clothes, or you look at your skin one day and just go, man, I feel like I'm looking better. I feel like I'm doing better. Celebrate that. Have a party for that. It's so important to celebrate the small victories so that when you get to the long-term goal, that you're actually successful. And it is very encouraging to celebrate those small-term victories. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but breakfast is actually breaking a fast. When you're sleeping at night, your body is healing, but you're also fasting and absorbing the nutrients that you've had that day. It's critically important that when we wake up or when we first eat during the day, that we flood our body with healthy nutrients. And so this is why we call it a break fast. Our healthy breakfast, like a healthy breakfast idea, is berries or a protein smoothie with berries, or greens powder or something like that, a good protein. And if you're going to do greens at all, this is the best time to do those in the morning. You've likely heard of intermittent fasting, and it's also referred to as IF. Fasting has been a process that's been used for thousands of years. You know, there's a lot of important people in the Bible that actually fasted for either 1 day, 3 days, 21 days, 40 days. But the research shows this, and it supports the benefits of that fasting. Intermittent fasting can be practiced in a variety of ways, including full days of not eating a specific food or not eating specific hours. The most popular method of intermittent fasting is 16 and 8. That's where you go 16 hours not eating and 8 hours of eating. So you're eating between 11 and 7, you're eating between 12 and 8, and this is the most likely time that most of our patients skip breakfast. So we're going to take a break right now. I want you to go back to your vision sheet. I want you to go back to your pie chart and fill those in. Also, don't forget about the barriers that you set for yourself, and also the things that motivate you. Remember, you've got to know what holds you back, and you've got to know what pushes you forward. Welcome back to New Year, New You. If weight loss is one of your New Year's resolutions, then exercise is absolutely a key component for weight loss. A healthy eating plan is absolutely essential for promoting healthy weight loss and shedding those extra pounds. But most people that I know, they get stuck. They get stuck at 30, 40, 50 pounds even, and they have to start exercising. So it might as well start today. And I'm going to go through, like, it's a common barrier for people, but it helps you to build muscle. It helps you to boost fat loss. And it's just critically important. And it doesn't have to be an hour on the treadmill every single day. I think that's a common misconception. You can get a good workout in 12 to 20 minutes every other day, and it's just enough fitness to get you going in the right direction. There's also a million excuses to avoid exercise. Between our consistently busy lifestyle to the pain of actually getting through a workout, exercise has been deemed an overall inconvenience in our world. In a world centered around convenience, it's unfortunate because exercise is one of the best things that you can do. The excuses that people have are these: I don't have the time, I don't know where to start, it's too difficult, gyms are too expensive, I don't feel like it. but we can find a way to rationalize and say just about anything. But the rational part of this is that the people that live to 100, in all the cultures that have people that live consistently to 80, 90, 100, not America, in other countries, those people are going up and down hills all the time, and they're exercising on a regular basis. So what we're talking about today is short duration, high intensity exercise. It's exactly what it sounds like. This type of exercise, exercising for a short period of time at a high intensity, usually in intervals. So it's kind of like the stuff that you were doing in high school. If you're an athlete, you're doing wind sprints. You're sprinting to the half court, walking back, sprinting the full court, walking back, and you're taking little breaks in between. You can go and do curls like this for 20 seconds, and then you rest for 20 seconds, and you do it again, and then you rest for another 20 seconds, and then you do it a third time, and you rest for a whole minute or so. Get your heart rate back and repeat that 2 to 3 times for the rest of the day, like in this 12-minute period, and that's called metabolic conditioning. And metabolic conditioning is the best way to burn fat. If you look back at your high school days or your college days, those are probably the best days that you were fit. And then we start to gain weight when we get into our 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And so this is a great way, very easy to do. And it's actually something that you can do online. We have a program called Max T3. It's basically a functional fitness program and incorporates multi-joint, compound, whole body movements found in everyday activities. And so this is about increasing your power, your strength, your endurance for the things that you're already doing in life. Also to increase your speed and agility, your flexibility. It's time, so short time. It's tempo, as fast as you can, and type. It's going hard for 20 seconds. You can do this. You can do curls. You can do arm raises. You can run in place for 20 seconds. But it's got to be about time, the tempo, and the type. And this is a complete fitness system that we have at the clinic, and it's only $25 to do this online. If you are going to be working out, then you're going to be wanting to do different supplements to help you through your workout. Whey protein is actually one of those best things that you can do before a workout or even after a workout if you want to. You can do L-carnitine that helps to produce energy that's essential for your heart, for your brain, for your mood, for your memory, and for cognitive function. The supplement that we have at the clinic, and you can get L-carnitine just about anywhere, but the one at our clinic is specifically for these reasons. It promotes cardiovascular health. It maintains cognitive health and memory. It helps you to maintain your diet and exercise plan more effectively. It helps you to improve your endurance. And it also inhibits the buildup of lactic acid, which is the reason that we get sore when we work out. Also, if you're going to break a sweat, then you probably want to replace those minerals and nutrients and electrolytes that you're losing. We have a supplement at Victory. It's called Keto Electrolytes. It's a great way to boost electrolytes on a keto low-carb diet, but it's not only just for keto people. It contains magnesium, zinc, potassium, chloride, and sodium. There's no harmful flavors or any colors, but you want to do some kind of electrolyte supplement. If you're not doing this, then Ultima is another company that we use. But you don't want to be doing Powerade and Gatorade. It's just too much sugar. And then the artificial sweeteners that are in the ones that don't have sugar, they still defeat the purpose. The next thing that we have to discuss today is toxicity. This is one of the weight loss problems, and this is a reason that a lot of, especially women, can't lose weight because we're toxic. The FDA has approved over 3,000 chemicals, preservatives, additives, and colorings for our food. The average person in America ingests 150 pounds of additives every single year. There's 3 million tons of pesticides used in the world every single year. There's over 1,600 chemicals used in the production of our food in America. Most of those have never been tested on the toxic effects on humans, but they have been linked to reproductive damage, hormone damage, asthma, ADHD, migraine headaches, developmental delays, fibromyalgia, and inflammatory conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. It's horrifying. So we've got to get the toxins out. Toxins are everywhere though. From our environment to our cleaning products, our cookware, we're surrounded by toxins in our daily life. Pesticides found on non-organic produce and sprayed crops. These are endocrine disrupting chemicals. They disrupt hormone function. And remember that weight loss is about what? It's about your hormones. And so if we're consuming toxins that are disrupting our hormones, it's really bad news. The pesticides, like I said, Flame retardants that are found on fabrics and carpets. You've got to air out your fabrics before that you bring them in. Your curtains, your carpets, your rugs. You have to air those out before you bring them to your house. Phthalates that are found in plastics and packaging and even toys. Those are harmful chemicals that disrupt, especially boys growing into men. PFOAs are found in non-stick cookwares. You don't want to use a non-stick that's made of PFOAs, specifically Teflon. Teflon's actually been banned in several countries because of how toxic it is. And then the last one, as far as toxins, BPA. You want to consume 0 of this, but it's also found in can liners and of cans that you open, and then specifically plastic bottles. We recommend that all of our patients get off of the plastic and start using stainless steel or glass. I really want you to look this up today when you leave the workshop. Obesogens. It's OBESOGENS. They're endocrine disruptors and they're toxins. These toxins are part of the endocrine disrupting chemicals found in everyday items like storage containers, so Tupperware, toys, and kids putting plastic in their mouth. Cosmetics, ladies, this is huge. We are putting plastic on our skin to make ourselves look better, but that is really terrible. Soaps and shampoos, if you see the word PTH, or it starts with PTH, phthalate, then you've got to remove that from your household. And then the last one, like I said, can liners. That's a big deal. Even receipts that you get at the grocery store, we do not let our kids use those because they contain obesogens. They actually contain BPA. All of this stuff that we're covering today and the challenge and everything else that you're going through, to ask one simple question, and I would ask you to ask this question for yourself, is what is health? Take the time right now just to answer that question, because most likely you don't know it. We haven't been taught the definition of health in the United States. The old definition of health and what we consider the primary definition of health at Victory is 100% function of all cells, tissues, organs, and glands 100% of the time, regardless of infirmary. Also known as the complete physical, mental, and state of well-being and mental well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Just because you have a headache today doesn't mean that you're sick, and just because you don't doesn't mean that you're healthy. There's plenty of people that die after the marathon. They ran a marathon yesterday and he died today. There's plenty of people that found out they have cancer today that never had an idea. They didn't have one symptom from the cancer. Why is that? Because health is not about how you feel. Unfortunately, in America, we do base our health on how we look and how we feel. And so we cover ourselves up with makeup and nice clothes. We wear different shirts to make us feel better about ourselves. We wear different makeups to make us feel better about ourselves. And unfortunately, it's a really, really sad thing that health, once again, it's not about how you feel. In fact, that if you wait until you're hurting and you have chronic pain or you have some kind of discomfort or digestive issues, the process is already started. And so, especially even with cancer, like you don't feel cancer in your body until it's grown by billions and billions of cells. But every single one of us has a little bit of cancer inside of us every single day. It's what our body does with it and how it can defend it that allows the cancer to grow or the cancer to die inside of our bodies. The next thing that I want to talk to you about, and I think it's really the most important thing that I could share with you today, is the brain-body connection. It's biopsychology. It's the study, and here's what this says. It's the scientific study of the brain neurotransmitters and other aspects of human biology that influence humans' behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. And I don't know what you know about the nervous system, but it's so important to understand this is the missing link for so many people that come in. They've been eating right for years. They have been detoxing and using different supplements for years. They exercise for years. They have a great strategy for life. They have zero stress in their life, but they are not healthy. And that's because they have problems in their central nervous system. The central nervous system governs all of these things. It governs how we perceive the world around us, how we learn from experience, how we remember, how we direct our movements, how we communicate with each other. This is, of course, that impacts the ability to live a healthy lifestyle and to choose healthy behaviors. It's all included with this, and it all happens in your central nervous system. There's a whole field of study, like I said, it's called biopsychology. And so what do you need to know about the brain? Well, the brain sends information throughout the entire body. For your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe, your eyes to see, for a cut to heal on your leg, the information from your brain has to get where it's going. But through time, from the time that you were born to today, you've gone through physical, chemical, emotional stress. And your doctors probably never taught you this because doctors just don't teach anymore. If you don't know what the word doctor means, it's a reflection of the Latin word docere. And so docere means to teach. And your doctors are meant to teach you. Listen, God put an amazing healing power in your body. And what happens through chemical stress, physical stress, and emotional stress, we have these things called misalignments or subluxations that happen in our spine. When you have a pinched nerve, so let's just say if I got a knife, so your brain sends information down your spinal cord, out through your chest and into your heart. These nerves that come out of your back, they go to your heart. If I went and cut that nerve that goes to your heart would die. What happens though is that over time, through looking down repetitively, micro traumas, doing the same thing over and over again. It could have been a car wreck that happened at 12, but this problem didn't develop it actually, and you didn't start feeling it until you were 40. It could be not just looking down at your phone all the time, but looking at computers. If you went through college and then you got a job and you've been sitting at the computer for the last 10 years, there's no doubt that you have a little bit of forward head carriage. That's when your chin comes way out here. It's way in front of your chest. What that does is it causes stress on these nerves that go into your thyroid, that go into your throat, these nerves that feed the blood vessels inside of your head. What the research says, especially for that top bone, if it's out of place, and you may not know this, but this causes high blood pressure. It causes headaches and sinus problems. It causes dizziness, just like I had. This is the number one problem that I had growing up. I had ear ringing and vertigo on the back end, but it started out with a migraine. It started out with a migraine when I was about 12 years old. And I had ear infections and sinus infections all throughout childhood and getting older. And then those ear infections and the sinus problems eventually led to Meniere's disease. And this is specifically a problem that you've got to fix. Once again, if I pinch the nerves that are going into your lower back, then it's probably going to hurt, but it may not. It may cause digestive issues. It may cause constipation, diarrhea, IBS. You can have miscarriages and hormonal issues because of pressure on the nerves that feed into your uterus and into your ovaries. So this is critically important. Like if you've never had this checked, and what we're offering all the people that are listening to this today, we're offering you to get this checked. Here's some of the problems that you may be suffering from: headaches, high blood pressure, menstrual cycle issues, food intolerances, ear infections, frequent colds, constipation, eczema, and skin issues. These are warning signs that something is not going on good inside of your body. You don't put a piece of tape over the oil light when the check oil light comes on in your car. So why do we take pills and potions and lotions for symptoms that could be so much bigger than just covering it up? And listen, if you're taking a medication that fixes your symptom today and you get off the medication and the symptom comes back, then you're not fixing the problem. You're simply covering up the issue. And so this is our offer for you today. If you have any of these problems or you have a health problem today, the cost for the next couple weeks for you is $89, and that pays for a consult, exam, anything else that we need to do in the clinic to find out and discover what the cause of your issue is. I would say that out of 99 of 100 people that come into the clinic with a headache, it's completely fixable and is fixed within 6 months. We also have people that have dealt with insomnia. You know, that top bone in your neck, it not only controls your blood pressure, but it controls serotonin going to your brain. And so you can have depression from subluxation. You can have insomnia from subluxation. You can have acid reflux for subluxation. And once again, misalignments in your spine are called subluxation. If you have acid reflux from subluxation, your doctor's never checked you for that. And so it's got to be checked through postural evaluation and also x-rays. What do people take anyways for their acid reflux? They take the purple pill. They take something like a Nexium. But did you know that increases your risk of Alzheimer's in the future? I think that's super scary. And so once again, this is the opportunity. If you want to be a patient at the office, there's a lot of our patients that are watching this, but if you're a guest here today and you've never been to Victory, then go to victoryhealthcenter.com and schedule an appointment, or you can call the office 865-357-2600. Headaches, menstrual cycle troubles, high blood pressure, depression, numbness, tingling, sciatica are all common, but they are not normal. It is common to have an autoimmune condition in America, but it is not normal. And so we want you to have normal health, not common health. You know, I really love to do what I do, and I think one of the biggest things about Victory is the relationships that we get to build with people. You know, not just our current patients, but our old patients, our former patients, the people that move away. They still do their at-home rehabilitation, and it's so important to have some kind of spinal rehabilitation, some kind of program or plan for your spinal health, because there's too many people in America today that have degenerative disc disease, that have bad spines, that have agging pain, that just will not go away. And so making sure every single day that we're stretching these muscles in the front, and that we're getting this side-to-side motion, a front-to-back motion, getting good, clean motion in our spine is so healthy for maintaining spinal health. Jim Rohn said this, is that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And so if you look at the 5 people that you're spending the most time with, are they successful with their health, with their career, with their personal life? If you want to achieve great things in your business life or your personal life, then you've got to make sure to surround yourself with the right kind of people. By being selective about who you spend time with, you can propel your business, your career, and your health to grow more quickly. And so here's what I'm going to ask you to do today, a very specific thing. We're having a dinner here in a couple weeks, and I'm inviting you. We're doing this workshop for you, and I want you to share this link with those people. And so here's why, is because I want the 5 people that you're closest to understand what you're doing, not just so that you can be healthy, but so that they can support you and that they can be healthy. I don't know you know this, but Knoxville, Tennessee is one of the sickest towns in America. And our purpose at Victory is to start to change that through our community. And so make sure that you're sharing this and going through this with people that you want to influence, but you also want to positively influence your own life. And now to the keto section. And so this is a fun one. You know, keto's a lot like the advanced plan. I think there's so many people that we get so excited about, like a new plan, a paleo, a keto, intermittent fasting, and something like that. But whatever it is that you're getting excited about, is that get excited about it and anchor to it and take off with it. And so most likely you've heard of a ketogenic way of eating or going keto. You may have some questions. And so over the next few slides, I really want to answer any questions that you have. Imagine, I think the first thing that you do is to imagine your body as a car. And glucose or sugar is your body's gasoline. Your body breaks down your food into glucose for energy. And when that happens, your body is energetic. But what happened if you didn't eat glucose today? Would your energy run out? Well, if your car ran out of gasoline, it certainly would. But your body just doesn't have one fuel source, it's got a couple. You don't run out of fuel. You have a backup fuel called ketones, which your liver creates by burning fat. And so on a keto diet, what happens is that just like the advanced plan, you restrict carbohydrates, but you also restrict protein, which means that you consume a diet that's high in fat. Insufficient carbohydrates or proteins mean that you don't have much glucose for fuel, and your body has to produce ketones and burn fat for ketones for fuel. And while you're doing that, you're losing weight. A ketogenic diet is based on a low carb, moderate protein, high fat diet. And the percentages go as this. It's 60 to 75% fat, it's 20 to 30% protein, and 5% of the nutrients are net carbs. Because some carbs are higher glycemic, meaning that they cause rapid increases in blood sugar. And so while following a ketogenic diet, it's important to understand what exactly a net carb is. A net carb calculates carbs by only leaving what is absorbed by the body. The way to calculate this is to get your total carbohydrates minus the fiber, minus the sugar alcohols like xylitol and erythritol. And so that's where you end up with your net carbs. So for example, a snack bar has 20 carbohydrates, 5 grams of fiber, and 2 grams of sugar alcohols. The net carbs is 13. And so it's 20 minus the 5 grams of fiber and the 2 grams of the sugar alcohols. And so while following a ketogenic diet, you really want to keep your net carbs between 20 and 50 per day. So now that we know the general aspects of what a ketogenic diet is, I want to go through the benefits, because this is super important for people to understand that when you start to increase your fat and you start to decrease your sugar, good things happen. The first thing that's going to happen is that you're going to lose weight, because your body's primary source is the body fat that's on it. And so you're going to start burning that fat. Something else I get really excited about is not just the weight loss benefits, but research shows that ketos link to positive enhancements and improvements in the brain. Just as the body can use ketones for energy, research shows that ketones can supply up to 70% of the brain's energy as well. The remaining energy can be supplied through a small amount of glucose consumed, as well as some produced by the body. Research shows that a ketogenic way of eating has been linked to improved memory, cognition, and even decreased migraines. When you eat foods that are less in carbohydrates and less in glucose, there's less need for insulin secretion and less fluctuating blood sugar. Even research shows that a ketogenic way of eating is linked to improvements in blood sugar and A1C. Furthermore, a ketogenic way of eating may reduce the amount of insulin needed compared to other diets. Overall, a ketogenic way of eating is showing promising results for blood sugar control, weight loss, and brain function. And don't forget, you've got to make sure that your food is quality. So coming back to our principles that we learned before, it's grass-fed beef, it's pasture-raised chicken, it's wild-caught salmon, right? And naturally sourced dairy, preferably organic if possible. Oftentimes when we go into keto, people assume that they can eat kind of anything they want to, even though it's a low carb, high fat, moderate protein, but it's absolutely not true. We can't just go eat a bunch of bacon. We can't just go eat a bunch of partially hydrogenated oils. So make sure that your food is quality food. And then I wanted to mention before that we go here, that when we are working out and when we are eating like this, not only are we going to lose fat, we've got to build muscle. And so we have a supplement at Victory that helps exactly with that. It helps to improve glucose metabolism. It helps to improve your blood sugar. It helps to regulate cortisol levels, which is responsible for some of that fat putting on you in the first place. And then in addition to ashwagandha, it has glutamine that helps to aid in exercise recovery. And so green coffee bean extract, ashwagandha, it's really a dynamic duo that you can't beat. Once again, we got order forms at the clinic this week and next week for people that came to this makeover to get your supplements. And so make sure you plug into that. As we close, don't forget to be on the lookout for the Immunity Masterclass coming soon. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel. It's called victoryhealth.tv. You can go to victoryhealthradio.com if you want to get more information like this. It's a podcast that is released once a week. In the end, I really hope this blessed your journey today. I believe that these principles take you from where you are to where you want to be. Thanks for being a part of this, and for you, get moving. Take action and never look back. I believe that this is a truly a new year, a new opportunity for you, and it can change your life if you just grab life by the horns. Get rid of the barriers. Remember the things that motivate you and put you forward. Surround yourself with the people that love you, but also want the best for you. And you know what? If your group of friends right now isn't the group of people that you should be hanging around with, then we're going to spend the next year developing those relationships and getting to be around the people that you want to be like. And so once again, I love you so much. My name's Dr. Jake. I hope this blessed you. And don't forget, Facebook, YouTube Live coming up 12:30.
What was that? I mean, is it over? It was an hour power. I mean, it was good and all. I mean, I got a plan. I got a challenge. Pretty sure I got a hold of the no sugar. It's over? It's not over. Leaky gut, I desperately want you to learn about autoimmune conditions. I want you to learn exactly why you're not supposed to use a microwave. And I really want you to know, like, inside of your body, what your bones are supposed to look like. So let's learn how to read an x-ray like a doctor. Let's do this. Let's get nerdy. All right, guys, welcome back. I really enjoy the aspect of learning and kind of being a nerd. And so I joke about that, partly because I had a professor in chiropractic school. He was my neuroanatomy teacher, and we're going to be learning neuroanatomy here in a second. And he said that when he was growing up in Austria, that you know how we had like greasers and stuff back in the day, rednecks, preppies, those kind of things. Well, in Austria, you were either a nerd or a dweeb or a geek, and I just think it's funny that they just kind of labeled those, you know, like in America, those are almost like equal to each other. But there they had, like, you know, there was like a label. The other thing is that he was the first person that ever told me about his experience with polio. And he said that he would go to school on a Monday, and the next Monday, you know, playing with his friends or whatever, the next day, half the kids are out of school, and then the next Monday that the kids maybe come back to school, but they're like in cages outside, and you know, it was a pretty scary time for them. And so just want you to know that, you know, we may be in weird times and scary times, but you don't have to be scared of anything, and certainly you shouldn't be fearful of this stuff, especially if you're trying to get healthy. You know, you're whether it's with the whatever it is, you take these lifestyle steps with you and learn these things, you are going to absolutely be healthier. And so it's awesome. The next step is this. I'm going to remove, I know a lot of people like to see like people's face when they're learning a class, but I think it's important for these next few slides I'm going to be in and out with this, because I want you to be able to see these slides. So I'm going to move this, and then we're going to get going, and I want to teach you a few things. The first thing is that xenoestrogens are this category of endocrine disruptors. They're basically made from industrially made chemical compounds which disrupt communication within the body's endocrine and hormonal system. You see that picture on the right there, where it says that purple estrogen molecule comes down and it sits inside of that receptor that's meant for it. Well, what happens when we consume a lot of plastics and chemical compounds is that those are xenoestrogens. They act like estrogens, and they come and sit down in that in that receptor site. And so because they're on the receptor site, they act like estrogen, but also there's free floating estrogen inside of the body. And that leads to all kinds of weird symptoms and cancers and post-menopausal symptoms. So if you're having like really rough menopausal symptoms, this may be the reason why. Xenoestrogens, or those phthalates that I was talking about earlier, they're plasticizers. They leach from plastic products, and they have an estrogen mimicking effect in the body, which once again leaves estrogen floating around in the body. Soy does that as well. Around the home, anything that contains the word, and you're going to see this on, you can just Google parabens or phthalates or phenoxyethanol, but a lot of times you'll see it on the label. And so you want to watch out for these things, and you kind of got to do your research to know exactly what these are. In foods, if you're a regular coffee drinker, you eat canola oil, which is, you know, it's basically in all fast foods. Commercially raised beef, pesticides, herbicides, these are all xenoestrogens that mess with your hormones. And so that's probably the last thing I'll really talk about hormones today. There may be some other stuff come up, but I wanted to really lay that out for you and let you see it and give you some better examples for that. The next thing I want to talk about is this amazing creation that God, you know, He made. And so, you know, if the Bible's true, and so you don't have to be a Christian if you're watching this today, but I truly believe this, and I know this, and I've seen this in my own life and my own practice, is that if you treat this temple well, it'll treat you well back. Remember that this is a place where the Holy Spirit lives. And so this is a perfectly made body. You were made with everything that you need. Look how miraculous this picture is that we're seeing on the slide. I know it's an animation, but isn't that like amazing that your brain controls all of that? And then if you look at it, what's called a merit chart, this is what chiropractors really go by when they're looking at what's going on inside of a person's body. Let me slide that down because I want you to see Atlas. Look at this. So your brain sits on top of this C1 right here, and it sends information down through your spinal cord, and out of your spinal cord come these nerves. And you see these numbers with these letters beside them. Those are the nerves. So the first one is a cervical vertebra. So those are C1 to C7, T1 to T12, and then down below are the lumbars. But I wanted to focus on the cervical spine right now because look at what it does, especially that top bone. And I'm going to show you in a second on an X-ray where this is. But look, here's what it controls. So your brain sends information down to this nerve. This nerve goes to the blood supply to your head, to the pituitary gland, which was responsible for a lot of hormones. The bones of the face, it goes back into your brain, your inner and middle ear, and your sympathetic nervous system. This is crucial right here. This is your system of fight or flight. And so when you have damage to this tissue right here, this is the warning signal that your body gives off that tissue is sick. Your symptoms are often not a call, like this is not requiring to take a medication. This is requiring to not have nerve pressure, though, so this tissue right here survives well. And so if you've got damage to the blood supply to your head because that nerve is damaged, don't you think that you'll probably have headaches and head colds and insomnia, high blood pressure and migraine headaches, nervous breakdowns? Where does dizziness come from? I mean, like that's in your head, right? And so the best thing to do to fix these issues specifically, and so you can pause this video and look at this, like there's somebody that's watching this video that you have almost all of those. That breaks my heart. And so this is where my problem was. I was a sick human being. I could barely drive a car after 6 months. I could not. I without getting car sick, I couldn't even be in a car. C2 goes to your optic nerves. These are your ear nerves right here, your sinuses, your mastoid bones, the tongue, and the forehead. So when you have pressure on here, on this nerve, it damages this tissue, and it causes sinus troubles and allergies, pain around the eyes, earaches, fainting spells, deafness. And we'll go to all kinds of doctors, and we'll spend all kinds of money on these issues. That's letting us know that these areas, this tissue in my body's getting sick, and it's being caused by this nerve being out of place. At Victory, this is exactly what we fix. This is what chiropractors do, specifically corrective chiropractors. So when you look at an X-ray, this is what you should see. And so this is the jaw. This person's facing to your left. This is the jaw, and this is the back of the skull. We all have a little bitty bump right there, but some people will have a bone spur on the back. That top bone's supposed to be shooting up towards the sky at 31 degrees, and you're supposed to see a gap between that skull and that top bone. Between the top bone and the second bone, you see a gap that's smaller than that. And what we see in a lot of people with headaches is that is reversed. You're supposed to have a C-shaped curve in your spine like that. And those spaces between your bones are all supposed to be even. And you're not supposed to have any bony growth or like bone spurs on the fronts of these bones. This is one of my very first patients. This is what his neck looked like when he very first came into the office. This is called postural correction and spinal correction. Now, the head weighs approximately 8 to 12 pounds, but the research says that for every inch, so, this is probably 2.5, 3 inches forward, that adds another 10 pounds of weight to your head. So this guy was carrying around 35 pounds of weight or so on the back of his neck, but his major concern was his low back. He didn't have any neck pain. He had a thyroid problem because there was damage to these nerves that are feeding into his thyroid. So when we corrected that and we got it better, his low back pain totally went away. He'd been going to chiropractors for a long time. And I don't say this to impress you. I just want you to know that your body is like really amazing, and you may have low back pain and sciatica, but it's coming from here. Why is that? Well, because your brain sends information down through the neck to get to that lower back. And so if you've got this normal curve in your neck, you don't have pressure on your spinal cord. This is absolute pressure. The next picture I'm going to show, if you get uneasy like stomach, you don't want to watch this video, this next part. You can listen, but I don't want you to watch this if you're going to get nauseous, because I'm going to show you a cadaver study. And so it's basically like a human head that's been cut like down the middle. And so are you ready? You turn away if you don't want to see this in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. Oh, I love this. This is so amazing that God put this in your body, you know. So on the left right here, what we're seeing is that this is the cerebellum. This is called the raphe nuclei. This is where or the reticular formation. This is where your heart rate, breathing rate, and your digestion occur. This is why I think that I really truly believe this, that a lot of babies, I don't think they're having digestive issues. I think they're having banging migraines. And the reason that I know that is because when you adjust this bone, the baby starts to get better, and you don't even have to touch anything else. It's amazing. When your brain sends this spinal cord down through your neck, it's supposed to have this C-shaped curve in here so that everything's slack. You see how the spinal cord is fat and there's not like a lot of pressure on it? It's got plenty of space. There's a little space right here that's decreased, but this anterior space, or the front space of the spine, that's beautiful. That's what you want your spine to look like. When we get stressed from physical, chemical, emotional, whatever that is, this is what happens inside of our spine over time. And so when the weight of your head is now sitting over the fronts of these bones, it starts to put pressure in like a jelly donut. This is like liquid in here, and it starts to shoot back here. And this is called a disc herniation. I can almost guarantee you that this person had some kind of autoimmune condition, something like a scleroderma or a lupus, or something that was going on, acne problems, something was going on with that. That was hurtful. But this third cervical, so this is the second vertebra, the third cervical right here, it is absolutely out of alignment. And so see how far this posterior part of it is far behind this? That is not normal. And that for that person, that should have been fixed while they were living. When you don't have a curve in your neck, or when you don't have good, when you lose that curve in your neck, this is what happens to your spine. This is heartbreaking to me. So when you don't fix this, I'll go show you that other picture real quick. Remember this picture right here where the head's sitting over here, but there's no damage on the front of the bones? This is what happens over time, this deformity, because the head is sitting over the fronts of the bones. You get these massive bone spurs. This lady had armpit sweating. Her hands were sweating all the time. She had a thyroid problem. She was extremely depressed. She was taking 3 medications, mind-altering medications. She was a beautiful human being. If we took her spine, it will never, because she left that damage in there for so long, it was never going to get fixed by 100%. But you can see in this next x-ray how it starts to open up just a little bit. There's definitely a better curve in here, and that top bone shooting up towards the sky. She got off all of her medications. She was taking like 13 medications when she came into Victory. A lot of people ask me about posture at work, and so I would encourage you to take a picture of this, take a screenshot of this. The vast majority of work injuries don't occur because of some accident. It's these repetitive motions in this leaning forward that, as you see on the right side. So this is the best way to put your desk when you're at your office. When we're talking about the spine as well, the spine just doesn't consist of the neck or the low back. It's also actually the low back and the mid back as well. And so this lady was she was under care for approximately 11 months. She got these great results. She had she really just got extreme results. She had a liver problem, and it would look like this. So when you see this is the same person, by the way. She's taken 38 medications right here. Got 38 medications, 38. She had been to Mayo Clinic, Duke, all kinds of other places. You see how her spine's going, like these 2 bones right here are kind of in alignment. And then you've got this massive deflection of her spine, and all of those bones are off the midline. Every single one of those bones is out of place. It's all stretched and crinked and damaged in there. She had ascites. She looked like one of those little children that you see in Africa, that's starving, and they have that fluid on their belly. They've got that big belly, but they're really skinny. That's exactly what she looked like in the clinic. We took her from here to here in 11 months. And so she got off of all of her medications, but two, in like 18 months total. So just want to encourage everybody out there. This is the missing secret for so many people. This is a sick kid on one of these X-rays. Who do you think's sick? The one on the right. Absolutely. That is a horrible, terrifying looking spine. This girl's name was Anna. She was one of my very first children that I ever served. She had severe digestive issues that were leading to severe immune system problems. And the doctors and her mom were like really at a loss. They were about to set her up for this spinal surgery because the doctors knew that, something wasn't right with her spine, but they don't always connect it with the nervous system. And so they were related to the scoliosis because she was having pain as well. They were going to do this surgery on her spine. And so she came by the clinic and we did an evaluation. She was pretty skeptical. But in the time that she got here, it took us 6 months to go from that picture on the right to the picture on the left. And you see how all this gas pocket and all this junk in here looks so bad. It's barely even there anymore. And so this has been a long time. This is like she's like 17, 18 today. And so, just one of those beautiful experiences that I've got to have in my life. What is wrong with this spine right here? It doesn't have a curve in it. In fact, it's got a lack of a curve. It's got -10, so it's lost that 43 to 45 degree, this normal angle where you see it's supposed to be. It's gone past straight where it could be, and it's gone reverse curve. And this is super scary. This is Jason. Jason came in. He was probably about 3 years ago or so. He had ADHD, headaches. He couldn't sleep for sure. Ear infections, tubes in his ears, nightmares. And he was autistic, and he didn't even speak. And so in 3 months, he went from that to that. He didn't get completely well, and he's still working. But the ADHD is much better. The headaches that he was having is much better, and his communication, just in general, with his parents is much better. Remember that's bad, and that's good, right? And so, once again, for anybody that's out there, if you're not doing your rehab, your spinal rehab at home, if you're not really taking care of your posture, I hope that you see this and realize that this happens in older people, but it also happens in younger people. This is a young person that their spine is so damaged like that. And this is exactly what's happening today with tech snag, with using a lot of laptops and a lot of computers. This is what we're getting out of our health here. The next thing that we're going to talk about is hormones. And so what is this misalignment right here? Look at this. So this top bone's supposed to be shooting up towards the sky. This is too, but this is not normal. Your brainstem is right here, right? And so it comes straight out of here, goes right back into that curve. In here, the spinal cord goes here, and then it goes back, and then it goes wraps around. It's like this S-shaped looking curve, right? And so if we look at this right here, what does that misalignment of that bone have to do with that brainstem? Well, the number one thing is that it really affects the serotonin levels going to the brain because of a condition called venous plexus pulling. Serotonin is involved in regulating stress hormone secretion. And so if that top bone, it goes through an artery that actually goes through this bone as well as the nerve that goes through that bone. There's an artery that comes through here. It's called the vertebral artery. And when you have this flat atlas like this, what happens is that the blood vessel, it gets curved, and the blood will go up and it'll come down, and it will never go back up into the brain. And so it just kind of sits here and does nothing. And that's called venous plexus pulling. And so once again, I think it's so important to get that checked. I want us to learn about leaky gut.
In 2004, a study was done involving two groups of mice. One of these groups had the germs in their stomach artificially removed, while the other had theirs left intact. Both groups were wired up and then exposed to a stressful experience. What they found that was while both groups responded to the stressor, the germ-free mice had a measurably exaggerated response. This sparked interest in a concept called the gut-brain axis. The idea that the microbes in your intestines vastly affect the way your brain and nervous system function. The link had previously not been made, but the next question was, of course, could this have an application for humans? It turns out it does, in a big way. There is in fact a war going on in your gut. The so-called good bacteria are pitted against the so-called bad bacteria. Now, who's winning this fight is of great importance to you. These bacteria can affect everything from mood to obesity levels. Both bacteria control important levers in the enteric nervous system, which in turn cause chemical cascades that affect all parts of your body, right up to your brain. An overabundance of the bad guys, for example, causes an imbalance that results in some very common psychological problems. While the good guys, on the other hand, can help keep us relaxed, they do this by releasing GABA and stimulating the vagus nerve, amongst other things. This collective of gut bacteria is known as the microbiome. They live inside you, in symbiosis. You need them, and they need you. But just like you, they need to be fed in the right way. This brings us to a fact that has been known by most cultures for at least thousands of years, that what you eat shapes who you are. The food you put into your gut encourages the growth of one of these kinds of bacteria, and that in turn affects all the aforementioned things. Given these advances, scientists have identified certain foods that encourage the good guy bacteria, and they called them probiotics. Now you might think this is a scientific breakthrough. Well, not quite. These have been known for literally thousands of years by the Roman, the Vedic, and the Chinese cultures, to name a few. 7,000 to 8,000 years ago, men of the Thracian culture, a warrior race, drank sour milk before going to battle. Marco Polo, the explorer, hailed the magical qualities of an ancient drink known as kefir. And one version of the Bible even says Abraham, a patriarch of Judaism, owed his long life to the consumption of sour milk. I say all this only to prove that this is not new knowledge, but medical science can be slow to catch up. Remarkably, many health professionals don't make much of this connection. Could this issue be an elephant in the room in mental health? Rates of mental illness are on an all-time high. About 9% of people are on antidepressants in the UK. In the USA, the figure is over 10%. There are now more than 50 million prescriptions of antidepressants in the UK in a year. And when these diagnoses and prescriptions are made, diet is usually not part of the protocol. This not only ignores our ancestral knowledge, it actually is unscientific. The nervous system, like any organ, is highly sensitive to the environmental and is absolutely shaped by what you eat. The probiotics of yesteryear have been removed from the modern diet in favor of other foods, and no prizes for guessing the kind of bacteria they encourage.
So I just think that's a great video for helping you to kind of get understanding and a little bit of an understanding of there's good bacteria in your body. There's bacteria in your body. There's bacteria on your body. There's bacteria everywhere. And so there's this constant, remember he said this constant war, we're at battle between the good and the bad. And so let's go over a few slides here. So we know for sure that your immune system and that your gut are totally interconnected. We know that over 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. Your healthy gut bacteria can help to prevent infection from foreign invaders. Remember that healthy gut bacteria is called probiotics. This is called your microbiome and my gut microbiota. So gut microbacteria communicate with immune cells that go and attack pathogens. Microbiota influence the susceptibility of the host to immune-mediated diseases and disorders. And so this is critically important to know that you're consuming enough probiotics. And so inflammation is also a serious problem in the gut. We see this every single day at Victory. Inflammation in the gut can be responsible for so many health problems, especially IBS. It leads to all kinds of unwanted symptoms. Leaky gut. This is so important today because so many people have autoimmune conditions. What does it mean to have leaky gut? Well, inside of our gut, we have an intestinal lining covering over 4,000 square feet of surface area. And when it works properly, it acts as a barrier that controls what is absorbed into our bloodstream. But an unhealthy gut lining may have an increased intestinal permeability, meaning that little holes and cracks that allow harmful bacteria and toxins to get into our gut. This is the occurrence known as leaky gut. And I see this a lot at Victory when we do nutritional testing. We test for this and we see this a ton. Symptoms that you actually may be having poor gut health. You may not know this, but an upset stomach, unintentional weight changes, if you're having sleep problems, some fatigue, and food sensitivity, skin problems specifically, can all be related to poor gut health. This picture right here shows a gluten molecule. The number one issue with gut cell damage and leaky gut is really this inflammation that happens right here. So here's what's going to happen. Gluten, this white molecule with the red arrow, it lands on the gut receptor wall and stimulates the release of zonulin, this protein that's right here, this little blue protein. It modulates the permeability of tight junctions between the cell walls and of the digestive tract. And so when zonulin is secreted, it lands on that neighboring gut cell receptor and decreases that tight junction and allows a cellular opening, a leak, to take place. And especially with gluten, this is scary. Once gluten passes the gut lining, it can accumulate in the endothelial lining, so that it not just accumulate over here, it accumulates in here. Scary. And it causes an autoimmune cell to attack the gut lining. And so here's what, this is one of those things that when we talk about autoimmune conditions, you got to be concerned about. And so once again, aloe vera, magnesium, those are all good supplements for like your gut. Glutamine is a good supplement for gut health. Omega-3 fatty acids, the fats are just so important. This, all this tissue right here, that's what it's made out of. It's made out of fat. This is just another example of that when there's inflammation in here, the food gets through. And so when you have food in here, you get these allergies to the big particles that are coming in. So your body's used to these little bitty broken down pieces, but it's not used to these big huge chunks coming through the cell lining. So when it does, it causes inflammation and ultimately causes immune system problems because the immune system's not remember, your immune system is in your gut. And so when your gut's not working right, definitely your immune system's not working right. And so these are some of the symptoms that people get when they have leaky gut. You can have thyroid problems. I've seen this before. I've seen a lot of this actually. Hashimoto's and Graves' disease. We see this all the time. Rosacea, eczema, depression, even anxiety. These aches and pains, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia. Man, people go to the doctor. They take some hardcore medications for fibro. What if they got off the gluten and totally changed their life? They could absolutely do that. Next thing up that we're going to talk about is Lunchables. Hey, this is not a picture of me, by the way. But I do think it's funny, and I do remember commercials growing up for these things. 22% of Oscar Mayer sales is $500 million, so much money. And so I kind of get upset about it, and here's why. Is because that looks cool, dude, right? And it doesn't look like scary. I mean, it's kind of scary-ish because it's like a Halloween, Spiderwick Chronicles, whatever. But it looks fun, right? But when I look at the label, this is the chemicals that are in it. Especially this one right here. You say warning. That is warning. Don't eat this. Red 40. Don't eat numbers and colors. Warning. Sugar-free. Sugar-free's bad. Look at all the sugar too. You got high fructose corn syrup in here, and then you've got sugar and dextrose. OSAs are generally sugars. Sugar right there. We got sugar right here. And so we fed this kid a bunch of chemicals, and we expect him to sit down in class. No way. And he gets in trouble for that. He's got hyperactivity because we put a bunch of chemicals in his body, and now we put him on medication to calm him down. It's sad. These look healthy. They do look healthy. Natural and artificial flavors. That's your first warning right there on this box. Excellent source of calcium. I doubt it. How about this one? Best taste award? Maybe. If it starts saying like Heart Smart or whatever, no way. We go ahead and just toss it. But let's read that label. So this is healthy, right? This is something that you're supposed to give your kids to go to school. Well, the filling in it has high fructose corn syrup, raspberries, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, fructose, sugar, maltodextrin. The first 5 or 6 ingredients are sugar, and then you got red 40. This is ADHD in a package. Blues, we don't eat blues or ones. And so once again, it's got wheat flour, so that's going to turn into sugar at some point. So this is what you've got to do at the store. You've got to read a label. That's why we're actually doing this extra part of this workshop, is because you've got to learn how to read that label right there. You've also got to know that those food dyes that I was just talking about, these are the problems that they're going to cause: cancer, tumors, thyroid problems, allergic reactions, hyperactivity. It's insanity. Also, listen to this. University of Hawaii did a research study on deli meat, and they said that I think the amount was somewhere between 3 to 5.5 grams or something or ounces of, it was hammer turkey. That it was if you ate that 5 to 7 days a week, it would increase your risk of pancreatic cancer by 67%. Nitrites are actually banned in most countries. That's what gives that red, fresh color to packaged meats. If not that meat, it would be gray. Monosodium glutamate is one of those things you got to watch out for. This is a chemical that was discovered in 1908. It was introduced in the U.S. in 1948. The toxic potential was discovered in 1968 because it was found to destroy neurons in the retina and in the brain. It was voluntarily withdrawn from baby food in 1968. But did you know that they're trying to put this stuff in the milks and all kinds of different packages? And so take a picture of this right here. When you're reading a label at the store, this is what you're probably going to see are going to be the sources of MSG. Almost all broths and stocks, they have MSG, unfortunately. I know a lot of people that drink these. I used to love Diet Coke, and then I got sick. And then I realized that Diet Coke is really bad for you. And so we had to get off the Diet Coke. I was drinking a lot. And I know a lot of people that drink a lot of Diet Coke, and it is so bad because it's a neuroexcitotoxin. It causes your brain to kind of have an energy that it's not supposed to have. It keeps you kind of hyper. And then you notice, I know that there's like 100 people currently watching this as we speak. One of you is addicted to this stuff. And it's sad. And the problem is that maybe you thought it was low sugar. Maybe you're a diabetic, like the slide says. You've been told that it won't cause weight gain. It's still calories. The problem with it is that it's a harsh chemical. Aspartame can cause hypoglycemic brain damage. It was discovered in 1965 by a company called GD Searle. GD Searle was eventually bought by Monsanto through an acquisition via a man named Donald Rumsfeld. That sounds like a conspiracy, but that is absolutely the truth. 100% true. It's 150 times as sweet as sugar. We know that people with AIDS, specifically, that it really damages their brains. And so because they already have an immune problem, it causes dementia to get worse. It absolutely causes migraine headaches. It can cause and be the beginning of seizures for some people. And so what do you do now? Well, other people do Splenda, but Splenda, this is the chemical makeup of Splenda. It started as a sugar molecule, and now it's this. That's nutso. Nobody can even say that. Once again, A plus B should equal C, but in this equation, A plus B plus X plus Y plus Z plus PDQ is just no longer a simple solution. And so there's other toxic dangers. And so I don't want you to get worried about this today. What I really want you to do is feel empowered that you have the ability to change this and that you should change this, right? Not just should, but what? Must. We must change some of these things. The medications are very acidic, in case you didn't know. They also have side effects. The side effects are actually the number one side effect for a medication is the thing that you get treated for. So like lisinopril is really good at causing your blood pressure to go down. So it's a blood pressure medication. It's a side effect, right? That's the effect of taking it. And so household products like that Teflon that we're seeing right there, household products like cleaners, Lysols, you want to get those harsh chemicals out of your house. Tap water is a big deal as well. You want fluoride, chloride free. Heavy metals and biotoxins. Biotoxins are mold. You want to be making sure that you're getting the metals out of your teeth. Those silver fillings are not good. And also watching out at your house for mold. PFOAs are those Teflons that I talked about earlier in this seminar. They've been proven to create childhood development problems, all these different kinds of cancers. It also lines microwave dinners, microwave popcorn. It's in Pam spray. It's in Scotchgard and Stainmaster. It doesn't break down in water or in your body. It accumulates over time. There was a predicted ban in 2010 that was supposed to be banned in 2015, and there presently a couple of lawsuits, including this class action lawsuit against DuPont because of Teflon and them making that. So, microwaves. This is a big thing for people. Microwaves are banned in Russia actually, and the following effects were observed in a Russian forensic team that said continually eating food processed from a microwave oven causes long-term permanent brain damage by shorting out electrical impulses in the brain. The human body cannot metabolize the unknown byproducts created in microwave food. Male and female hormone production is shut down and altered by continually eating microwave foods. That is not just an opinion, and that's not just some conspiracy. That is from the Russian government. Like, don't do it. And so why, you would think that after a couple of nuclear events that happened over there, they would probably know, right? They do know, and they know exactly what's going on. Minerals and vitamins and nutrients are all microwave foods that are in all microwave foods is reduced or altered so that the human body gets really little or no benefit. So you got to get off the microwave. Best way to do that, by the way, heating food, one of those little convection ovens, little air fryers. We have one of those. We've had it for years. It's the best. The average woman in America uses 9 personal care products daily, or exposed to 100 different chemicals daily. You want to go to ewg.org/skin deep. There's also in the App Store, I know there's an app called Skin Deep. You can scan your makeups and your shampoos and see if they're chemical. So you just got to have the barcode for them. But the average woman uses this every single day. Perfumes can contain between 250 and 400 chemical components. Lipstick can contain 33 components. Body lotion 32. Mascara 20. And even mascara can contain bat poop. Do you know this, women? That some mascara contains bat poop, guano. You do not want to put that on your beautiful eyes, right? Last couple slides, and then listen, we got to go to Facebook here in a second. Personal care products, especially like Cascades. Listen, when you don't ever do this, and I know that you do sometimes, but if you're in the middle of washing dishes and you open that thing up and you've got one of these chemicals in there that's got DEA in it, it is like a detergent chemical bomb that went off in your house. You've got to get that stuff out of your house. Propylene glycol is a substance used in antifreeze solutions and hydraulic fluids. It's also known to be in toothpaste, shampoos, deodorants, lotions, and even processed foods. Look for that in your toothpaste and on your labels. And the very last slide of the makeover. Can you believe, man, we made it. What a good day. We have learned so much today. Sodium lauryl sulfate is an extremely common chemical that is found in almost all soaps and shampoos, toothpaste especially. It's what makes the lather happen inside of your mouth and on your hair. And so, once again, There's plenty of natural solutions out there over the next few weeks, and even at the Q&A. If you got questions about something, come on, let's go. 12:30 today. And for the next few Saturdays, I'm going to be on Facebook and on YouTube. 12:30 for Q&A on Facebook and YouTube. Look up Victory Health Center, victoryhealth.tv. And seriously, this time, the makeover's over. And so, but your year's not over, and being a new you is not over. I'm actually so excited. I've been saying this all week long. I'm like, new year, new me. So I wish you the best of luck in your journey. And if you're a patient of mine, I like from the bottom of my heart, I love you so much, and I'm honored to serve you. And if you're a guest that was joining the makeover today, once again, touch base with us sometime next week. I love you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And if you come to Q&A, I'll see you soon.